Why the first $100,000 is hard. I'm sure if you are watching this video, you have heard of the billionaire investor and financial guru, Charlie Munger. For those of you who don't know who he is the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, the holding company he co-owns with Warren Buffett. Charlie has provided lots of sound business advice over the years, but his explanation of why the first $100,000 in savings is the hardest to pull together and why you need to get to that $100,000 could be the secret to financial freedom and could be some of his best advice he has ever given. Charlie believes that the first $100,000 in savings and investment is the hardest to amass. But it's not only Charlie who believes this. Many people who have found financial freedom have also agreed that the first $100,000 milestone is the hardest to hit, and after that, the rest seems to come easily. It's not only the first $100,000 that this philosophy is applied to, it is also said about the first $1 million too. The philosophy being, once you reach your first million, the second million isn't that far away. Once you have successfully reached the $100,000 milestone, you soon find that you then hit the $200,000 milestone quicker, and then the $300,000 milestone, and so on. The quicker you can get to $100,000 saved and invested, the quicker it will change your life. At a Berkshire Hathaway conference in the 90s, a man in the audience asked Charlie, "How do I create wealth?" And Charlie responded with the now famous quote, "The first $100,000 is a but you gotta do it." He went on to say, "I don't care what you must do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything which wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on $100,000. Let's take a look at why this process gets easier as you amass more wealth once you have passed the $100,000 milestone. Before we get into this, I must state that I am not a financial advisor. You should seek advice from a trained professional before investing. The first thing you need to understand on your road to the $100,000 milestone is compound interest. These two words are the most magical words in the financial language, and once you understand compound interest, you will be on the path to wealth. The official definition of compound interest is the interest on a loan or a deposit calculated based on both the initial principal and the accumulated interest from previous periods. Think of compound interest as a snowball rolling down a hill in a cartoon. The ball starts off small at the top. As it rolls down the hill, it gets bigger, and when it gets to the bottom of the hill, the snowball is huge and unstoppable. Charlie Munger says the biggest issue that new investors face is starting to invest in the first place. Taking that initial step to financial freedom can be difficult. If you keep putting investment off, before you know it, you'll be about to retire and then realize that you don't have any retirement savings or investments. This will mean you have nothing to see you through after you have finished working. Many people say that they'll start investing when they have more money to spare, but saying this is like saying, "I will drink more water when I'm dying of thirst." You need to make sure you never get to that point, and you need to start investing as much as you can, as early as you can. Investing a smaller amount over a longer time often leads to better returns than investing larger amounts over a shorter period of time, even if the initial capital invested later is more. This is because your money has more time to grow and create compound interest. Another common reason for many people to not start investing is because of the risk aspect. The market goes up and down, but over the long-term averages, the markets have gone up by 9% a year over the past 100 years. This is through every global and financial event which has happened in our lifetime. As they say, it's time in the market, not timing the market. The longer you have your money invested without touching it, the better return you will see on average over the lifetime of the investment. If you are still watching this video, congratulations. You're one of the few who dedicates the time to become financially free. If you want to learn more about becoming financially free, then please hit the like button and subscribe. Now let's take a look at how to get to that first $100,000 in savings, no matter how much you actually earn. So getting to the first $100,000 might seem like a daunting task if looked at as a whole. The reason the first $100,000 is the hardest is because the bulk of this amount is what needs to be personally contributed by you. This is the seed you plant, which will start you on the path to financial freedom, and why it is always the hardest. Once your portfolio hits this magic $100,000 number, compound interest really starts to kick in and the returns become much larger. When you see this start to happen, it motivates you to invest more. As we said, the average market return is about 9%. For easy numbers, let's call it 10%. So if you invested $10,000 in the stock market and got a 10% return in a year, that's a return of $1,000. This doesn't sound like a lot to some people, and this can easily be made by other means, like working extra shifts or selling unwanted goods, etc. And they're right, it can. But when you get to $100,000, that same 10% return becomes $10,000, which is nearly half of the average working person's salary. Then when you get to $500,000, a 10% return becomes $50,000 a year, which would replace the average salary of most people on the planet. Investors say that when they see their portfolio get to $100,000, they can really start to see the growth, and it only accelerates from there. This is exciting for people, being able to see the growth, which further motivates them to start investing more. They realize the power of compound interest and start to adjust their spending habits, starting to choose investing over spending, realizing that if they invested the $100 rather than spending $100, it would keep paying them well into the future. Having $100,000 in savings and investments also gives you options and freedom. More often than not, it's not really money people are chasing. It's actually the freedom and the choices which money brings to them. If you have $100,000 in investments giving an annual return of $10,000, you would sleep better if you suddenly lost your job. Or it could give you the option to quit a job you hate and find another job which doesn't quite pay as much, but which you're happier in. Investing for the future gives you options and peace of mind. Having this capital on hand also gives you options to take advantage of situations and opportunities which may arise spontaneously, such as a business opportunity, a relocation to a different town or city or country, even a real estate deal which just cannot be missed, or even a new job offer which seems risky but has the potential to be bigger and better than what you're currently doing. The options and opportunities are endless. On the other hand, for people who don't have money saved or invested, if they lost their job, they can't pay their rent. If they don't have money saved or invested, they can't take advantage of opportunities like you can, or they must stay in a job that they hate because they have bills to pay. Let's take a look at an example of two people who took Charlie's advice. Two guys listened to Charlie Munger's advice. One is called Sam and one is called Bob. Both of these guys are 20 years old at the time of hearing the advice. Sam decided he was going to take Charlie's advice on board wholeheartedly and do everything in his power over the next 5 years to get to that $100,000 mark. He became hyper-focused and frugal and saved more and even took on extra jobs to save even more. As a result of this, he got to $100,000 by the time he was 25. Bob, on the other hand, took a more laid-back approach to Charlie's message, carried on as normal, and hit the $100,000 10 years later at 35 years old. Neither Sam or Bob put another dime into their investment accounts after they hit the $100,000 mark. They checked their investment accounts when they finally retired at 70. Assuming a 10% annual return on the investment accounts, Bob now has a retirement portfolio of $2.8 million, thanks to compound interest. But how much do you think Sam had in his retirement account, having saved earlier and had an extra 10-year growth on his money? You may think it's an extra $100,000, $500,000, or even an extra $1 million. Sam now has nearly $7.3 million in his retirement account, over 2.5 times what Bob has after investing the same amount, but just investing it earlier. This is the true power of compound interest, and once you understand this, you are truly on your way to financial freedom. Let's look at how we can speed up getting to the $100,000 milestone. As we said earlier, the vast bulk of the initial $100,000 contributed will need to be personally contributed by you. So you need to spend a few years really trying to save as much as possible and work on trying to increase your income. Discretionary spending also needs to be looked at. Do you really need that $100 shirt for a night out, or can you spend $20 on a shirt and save or invest the other $80? Remember that watching how you spend is only a temporary measure until you reach that goal of $100,000. When you get there, you can ease off a little bit. Look at where your monthly salary is going. Do you need to eat out twice a week? Do you really need to be spending $500 a month on car payments? Do you really need to live in the expensive city, or can you move to the suburbs and get cheaper rent? If you really want to get to that golden milestone of $100,000, you can do it, but you just need to make a few adjustments and sacrifices to get there. Work some extra hours, take on an additional job, or start a side business, which is going to give you that extra income you need to invest and get to that milestone. The formula for hitting your milestone. In short, you need to sacrifice comfort for the unknown and living below your means for a decent amount of time to hit that $100,000 milestone. Think of yourself as a successful business, and the salary you have coming in is your turnover for that business. You need to reduce costs to maximize profit. This profit can then be reinvested to pay for your future self. The top 5 tips from Charlie Munger to allow you to hit this milestone are as follows. 1. Underspend your income. When it comes to your net worth, it's not how much you earn, it's how much you keep. Charlie Munger and his business partner billionaire Warren Buffett still live frugally to this day, visiting reasonably priced restaurants and driving 7-year-old cars. 2. Avoid debt, especially on credit cards. Charlie Munger built his wealth by getting interest to work for him instead of interest working against him. Don't use credit cards, as they are a surefire way to get yourself into a lot of financial trouble. 3. Learn about money. This is why you're watching this video. Financial education is the key to becoming financially secure, so don't forget to subscribe for more videos about this topic. 4. Patience is key. Getting to the $100,000 is a long-term play, so have the patience to keep going, and it will literally pay dividends in the future. 5. View money as a long-term game. Buffett once said, "Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone else planted a tree a long time ago," and this is true. Plant the seeds of financial freedom today to reap the rewards in years to come. Trees don't grow overnight no matter what you do to them, so keep planting the seeds and one day you will be rewarded. So are you ready to be financially free? Let us know in the comments below what your financial plans are and how you're going to get to that first $100,000. Have a look at the next video to keep on building your financial knowledge. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.